In just a few short days, 2019 will be over, but that is really exciting because 2020 is upon us, the year that finally I will take delivery of my 2020 Corvette C8 and many of my viewers as well. So very, very exciting times. But today I thought we would talk a little bit about my Corvette and the 5 different things I'm going to be doing with it right off the bat. And hopefully this gives you a bit of insight on what maybe you can look to do with your Corvette as soon as you take delivery. So the first thing I want to look at when getting my Corvette, this really goes for anybody that's purchasing a new car, is protecting your paint. You have a brand new vehicle and you really want to take some time to protect your new paint, especially if you're spending more and more money on a vehicle. Like the Corvette's not a cheap vehicle and I want to keep it in pristine shape. So doing so, I have 2 different options. So the first option that I have is to vinyl wrap it. Now this is my 2008 Audi R8, and for anybody that's been following the channel, you know that my brother and I actually wrapped this vehicle, and it's turned out way better than I expected. Now it's a very difficult process, and if you don't do it yourself, it can be very costly, but nonetheless, it can completely change the car's color. And I had a black R8 before this. Now it is a satin flip psychedelic, and I get tons and tons of comments on the car. And not only that, but it actually protects the paint. It has several mils of thickness to the vinyl wrap, and so a rock chip or a scrape, it helps protect the paint. And with a little bit of heat gun addition, I can get scrapes, small little nicks out of the vinyl wrap. So I really like this option. The downside is that it completely changes the color. However, as I said, I love this color, and it's something that I'm considering doing with my C8. I think it's a color that doesn't get used a lot, and I would love it to be kind of the theme of the channel. So this is something we're considering to help protect my paint and to maybe give a little bit extra, pizzazz to my Corvette. The second option we have is PPF, or paint protection film. And while it works a lot like my vinyl wrap, it's completely clear. So it will provide the protection against scrapes and little chips from debris in the road, but it's completely clear, so it doesn't cover up the color of your original paint color. And I did order my Corvette in torch red, and I'm having a hard time deciding whether I want to cover that up or put it in some sort of crazy color like on my R8. So that's something that I'm still at a crossroads and I'm trying to figure out. But for anybody out there that gets a new car, make sure you protect your paint. It is so important, and one of those 2 options should give you exactly what you need to do. The next thing I'm going to be doing with my Corvette is buying an additional set of wheels and tires. As I've told you many times, I'm going to be daily driving my Corvette C8, and the importance of that is I've upgraded to the Z51 package, which changes my all-season tires, the Michelins you receive on the base Corvette, up to the summer-only Michelin Sport 4S's. And while that's great for the summer, they're terrible tires for the winter or any type of wet condition. So my thought behind it is I'm gonna get the carbon flash wheels, and they're an okay looking wheel, and I'm gonna pull those off, keep using my summer tires, and I'm gonna buy a new set of wheels so that during the summer the car looks better. I'm just not super impressed with any of the options that Chevrolet has provided us. Then I can use my carbon flash during the winter, buy a winter set of all-season tires, and use that during the colder months. Because with the sport tires, you can't drive those at cold temperatures, anything under like 40 degrees, and you can actually start to damage the wheels. So it's really important that I have both sets if I'm gonna be driving the car all year round here in the Midwest, where it gets very cold and pretty crappy during the winters. So after I get the paint protected and the wheels and tire situation taken care of, the next thing I want to look at is carbon fiber. And almost everybody loves carbon fiber. I know it's kind of been overplayed, but like my Audi R8, for example, has this beautiful side blade done in carbon fiber. It just looks so nice and just enhances the looks of the vehicle. And for the first time ever, Chevrolet has offered tons and tons of options. In fact, as I go through the list of carbon fiber options, you could spend well over $10,000 in exterior carbon fiber. Just the side skirts, the ground effects kit is almost $5,000. And so what I decided for my build is I have the interior trim in carbon as well as the rear engine accessory kit that has carbon fiber for it. But from there, I've stripped all carbon fiber. My original build was $95,000 and I took about $10,000 off because of all the carbon fiber that I've removed. So when I take delivery, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the car and decide what bits I wanna add from there, because I can always add the accessory Chevrolet offers. You can have them install it or you can install it yourself, or I can look at third-party vendors, and usually they provide some very high quality pieces in carbon fiber. But as I said, I really like the look. I just wanna take a look at the car when I receive it and decide which ones I wanna add, whether I just wanna do the side skirts or if I do wanna add the front splitter. So we'll definitely go from there, and you all are going to help me decide as well. I'm gonna be making videos talking about the delivery and looking at the car and choosing which are the best options for my car. But I also do want to keep the price down because carbon fiber adds up very quickly. Today's video is sponsored by OxBeam. OxBeam manufactures premium LED headlights, light bars, and lighting accessories. No matter what make or model you have, OxBeam has you covered, all at a very competitive price. They are currently running their annual Christmas sale, so make sure you check out their links in the description below. Now the next thing I want to look at is a very important one, and that is an exhaust upgrade for my Corvette C8. But before we go any further, let's get a cold start on the R8. So one of my biggest gripes with Corvettes is their exhaust note, and I know they kind of have to make it so that it's good for everybody, and in recent years they have the dual mode, but even in the loudest setting with the dual mode with the baffles fully open, we still get a quieter exhaust note. It's just not really aggressive until you're really deep into the RPMs. So with that, we have aftermarket exhaust, and luckily the new Corvette C8 should be pretty easy to get an aftermarket exhaust. We know of the big companies, Corsa, Billy Boat, there's a few others that a lot of people like to look at for Corvettes, and luckily we know they're going to be coming for the Corvette C8, and my hope is they come pretty quickly. I've heard in some of the forums that they're already working on exhaust. Now my R8 behind me, I love the car, but we have not put a new exhaust on because it's so labor intensive. They want $1,500 to $2,000 just to install the exhaust at my local dealership, and I can do it myself, but it's an X design, and that means it sits behind the rear bumper, and you have like 10 to 12 hours to get the whole rear of the car off, install it, and then reinstall everything. And luckily for us, the new C8 is not going to be that design. It looks like you have the exhaust that comes right under the ends of the underside of the car, and it should be a pretty easy swap out. With my C6 Corvette, that's exactly what I did. When I bought the car, I was really displeased with the exhaust sound. I could not believe how quiet the stock C6 Corvette exhaust was. So what I did is I went out and did a lot of research, and I actually bought a Billy Boat Fusion exhaust, and it completely changed that car. It made it so much better in many ways, and the Fusion exhaust had the dual mode. I didn't have that option in the base form of the exhaust, so that gave me both a quiet and a very loud exhaust note, and it wasn't that expensive. I think it was like $1,800, $1,850, and I decided not to install it myself. I certainly could have in probably an hour or two, but for $100 my local muffler shop threw it up on a lift, bolted it in, and I was ready to go. So very exciting, but I know the C8 is not going to be loud enough in stock form, so that's going to be something I'm going to be looking at from the get-go. So the fifth and final thing I want to do with my Corvette C8 is a proper break-in. And a lot of people found when they bought their C7s that there's now kind of an official break-in process. For the first 200, 500, and actually up to 1,000 miles, they kind of have some regulations they want to do for the Corvette to make sure that it breaks in properly. And that's no constant driving. They actually want you to go through the gears, but also not overstress the engine. I believe it was like 4,000 RPMs they didn't want you to pass, and it actually had it on the tachometer. They had kind of a break point where you couldn't go past. And so what that does is it doesn't stress the engine. It makes sure that your transmission sets in the different gears correctly as you kind of go through those gears and you don't over rev the engine. And no hard braking. They want to make sure your brake lines kind of break in nice and easy. And so that's going to be the same situation for my Corvette C8. I want to make sure that I brake the car, and I want a nice long healthy life for the engine, for the brakes, and for the transmission. And so my thought is for the first time, as soon as I take delivery of my Corvette, I want to do a long road trip, and that way I can make sure that I break it in just properly, but get to enjoy that. And it would be a lot of fun content, give you all my thoughts on the car, because what I could do is we could do that long road trip. You know, I'm not going to be able to drive the car to 10/10ths of its length. I'm not going to be able to really push the car at first, but then hopefully get over that hump during the break-in period while I'm on the trip, and then really open the car up and let you know the difference, like really what my feelings. You're going to get that raw emotional, like my connection with the car, and I think that would be really exciting and provide a lot of really good content for the channel. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are, but breaking in the car is very important. Anybody purchasing the Corvette C8, don't forget about that. I'm sure nobody will, but it's very important that you do so, and that way you can have a nice, healthy, long-living C8 Corvette. Alrighty everybody, that is my top 5 things I cannot wait to do with my 2020 Corvette C8 when I take delivery. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit the huge thumbs up. I truly appreciate all of the support. If you want to join me on my journey of taking delivery of my 2020 Corvette next year, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and also make sure you have that bell notification hit so you know when my latest videos drop. As always, thank you so much for watching. You all take care, and we'll see you next video.